And welcome to Live from Studio One. Welcome to the studio audience, and also to those of you listening at home, and of course to our performer this evening, Robbie Basho. Welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for being here tonight, Robbie.
Well, thank you. That was Redwood Ramble. I thought I'd start off with some folky things and then get complicated.
You are a very difficult musician to pigeonhole. For those of us who find great comfort in pigeonholing things, you give no comfort.
Well, the world's getting like that, more and more and more. That was just parallel picking, just straight country parallel picking. Mm-hmm. And it's called Redwood Ramble because it's kind of the redwoods in California, just kind of a fun piece.
It is fun, real joyous sounding. You have at least been known to me, and I think to probably a lot of KUNI listeners for a number of years. You have a wealth of albums and are still recording, and have recorded everything from American Indian music to Hindu music to classical music to some folk and original, a little of everything. I'm hoping you're going to play a little of all of that tonight.
Oh boy.
Not enough time, huh? Only an hour? Well,
yes.
a little sampling of things.
Around the world in 60 minutes.
That's right.
We'll try.
Okay, all right. Well, why don't you go ahead and do something else for us, and then we'll talk a little more.
Okay, I think I'd still want to warm up, do a friendly thing called Fandango. It's still a little bit of California happy time music until I can get my... I'm recovering from dinner, which I had at the cafeteria.
Oh.
This is the farm country, and there was no vegetables. Can't believe that. Okay, Fandango. Of the vine, will you be mine? Will you be mine in the winter time, darling?
Sounds like a whole orchestra.
Let's see. Please make a little talk so I can tune.
Okay. I was listening to you. It's very in tune for a 12-string.
I'm glad you think so, lady.
Compared to some I've heard. I hear that's a nigh impossible instrument to keep in tune.
Oh, it's not. I was very cool sitting here practicing flawlessly. Then before we got on, my hands started sweating and everything. The guitar slipped out of my fingers and everything else. So it's one of those cute little things.
I want to ask you a little bit about how you got started in music. Did you always? Did you learn as a very young child to play guitar and interested
No,
in
I was
music
one of those. I always felt I was drop kicked into this lifetime, at random, at God's good whim and sadistic pleasure.
I see.
Down you go, child, boom. And where you land, nobody knows. But I was adopted somewhere along the line by a very nice physician and his wife. And so I didn't know about anything. And I had troubles in high school, and I went to this fellow is a psychiatrist. Oh, you'll be a famous man someday, young man. And my parents are, they're giving him the bad eye because this creep, this is going to be. And he was serious, and I didn't know what he meant. And he just meant I'd do something different, I think is what he really meant. And so I didn't know what I was going to do until I finally got to college. And I heard the Kingston Trio, bought my first guitar. And I was really late to play guitar, and I heard John Fahey, and that's when I started. You
didn't
flamenco.
Start until
I didn't start until I was 20
college.
years old.
Is that right? Did you have a musical background?
No background. I did. They sent me to military school, and they lined us up against the wall and gave some of us bugles and some drums, whatever. And I tooted pretty good, so I became a bugler.
I see.
So I won me a little medal in military school for playing the bugle. And then I played euphonium horn in the high school bands. And I moved in the Midwest, too. I lived in Dwight, Illinois. And they always make jokes about farmers' kids. Well, me and the rest of the farmers' kids took first in the United States for a concert band.
Really?
Dwight, Illinois, has got about 2,000 people in it.
Pray tell, where is Dwight?
It's about 150 miles south of Chicago. And it's right smack dab in the middle of Illinois. It's near Pontiac, Odell.
Right in the center.
Right in the middle. Terre Haute, I know, is 90 miles north.
Aha. So you did have some, at least, exposure to music, but the guitar came, really, that's fairly late to start.
Yes, very late. And I started playing and playing and playing and playing, and finally said bye-bye to college. And, oh my God, I started off taking pre-med, and I started getting my first Jean-Paul Sartre nauseas at Chem Lab. I mean, real sick. Double entendre. So I got out of that into, I think it was pre-law, and that's what the football players would take, pre-law course, because you take a lot of civics and all this kind of thing, and it wasn't so hard. And that didn't do, because I would get A's in creative writing and I think philosophy and funk, everything else. It was just terrible. I didn't belong in college. Some people don't. And I didn't know that. Of course, parents were very upset. So I played guitar a lot, and I went to Washington, D.C. and lived and learned more about guitar.
You said, didn't you, that you played flamenco?
I started out playing nylon guitar with gypsies from Spain who were hiding out in various and sundriest things.
Really?
And, oh, brother, you wouldn't believe. Those guys are always running away from something. But they play beautiful music, Yeah. And I even sang a little bit in that style, too, for a while. And then,
do you do any of that? I'm not...
Oh, God.
Don't know if you...
12-string. I got a 6-string. We're playing steel string guitar.
Right.
We're going to try.
I just didn't realize that you.
I started out. Well, the thing is, I started out on nylon guitar. Now it's a total different realm of being nylon. If you play steel string and try to play nylon, it hurts your fingers to the point where you can't play anymore. There's different tension, really can hurt your fingers. And I was doing nylon. And then Fahey and company, the boys came over one day. Basho, why don't you play steel string like the rest of us? You'll never make it if you don't play steel string, you turkey, etc., etc. And so I said, okay.
And so you have been.
So I picked up steel string, and I'm quite happy with that, because with steel string, not only do you get the heart crush as the flesh of the finger, you get a heart crush, I call it, a pulky feeling with nylon. But in steel string, you can get a heart thing, but you can get fire. You can get trumpets.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you really
it's
can,
much more orchestral sounding.
Yes, you can get woodwinds as well as what you say you would strings your string. You can get trumpets as well as a string section.
Right. Such a deal.
Well, I'll give you an example, like this little Vivaldi thing I wrote. You can't do that on a nylon.
Yeah.
That's trumpets. Mm-hmm. It's chorale type of thing, and that's what you can do here. Let me try to do a little something Spanishy. You wanted flamenco. Well, I'll do a little something of what I can.
Okay, that sounds good.
Lower King dorado e blanca del azul es un Dios para sus amadores in Havana. Loberquín dorado e blanca del cielo azul es un beso de para sus amadores y la bala.
Very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, that's hard to do in steel string.
Gee, that's a nice sound. If you are just joining us, our guest on Live from Studio One is Robbie Basho. And, well, let's see, does anybody in the audience have a request? No, I'm just kidding.
Every time you think you've rehearsed everything to the T, then they ask you a question like that. I have to pull that one out. That means the blue and the white and blue, the white and golden Virgin from blue sky is a kiss from God for his lovers in the valley. Something really, really pretty like that.
What, is that something you wrote?
It's flamenco, yes, Spanish. It's called the California Suite. I've never recorded it. But that's what it means.
That's very nice. You told me before we went on air that you've written a symphony and are working toward completion of a concerto for orchestra and piano, I believe. Yeah,
well, one symphony is called House of Light. It's kind of a spiritual work in 4 movements with English, Arabic, kind of Oriental and Western. I wanted to try for a nice blend that way using I felt a lot of love with the Oriental culture, to get away from the fanaticism that's going on, to show people what could be done with it musically and feelingly wise. And I started doing this thing, and I didn't know how to write music, and I had to go through 7 years of the worst kind of ego busting and jousting to get it down. And the thing is that the whole symphony just fell upon me, and I took it down the best I could, and it took me that long to put it down right.
Mm-hmm. Is this for a large orchestra?
Full chorus, full orchestra. 4 French horns, cellos, full...
The whole routine. You're not relying just on your 12 strings now.
No guitar in it at all. No. I did my symphonies. Well, I think the trouble with some musicians like Fahey had, we were doing mini symphonies on 12. And something inside says, but I want more. I want a bigger and fuller expression. Mm-hmm. And the child inside says, no, I just want to ride my horse and play my music. What do you mean sit down and learn and write? That's ridiculous. But I had to. I was kind of forced.
Who will perform the work, or has it already been performed?
No. One is on its way to the NEA, the National Endowment Fund, and we hope they'll help us out, because there's so many steps. You have to have the whole thing copied. I paid a girl $400 to have it copied right in good script. Then you have each part has to be copied for the instruments. God, it's like rewriting a 100-page symphony over about 30 times, differently each time. You have to pay somebody to do that. Then you have to hustle it. Hello, would you like to play my symphony? No, we don't want any today. It's a game you play. But that's the first one that came out, and that might not be available to everybody, though it is a worldwide type of thing. And then the concerto, the common man should like the Concerto La Santa Cruz, which is starts the 15th century, the Spanish Christ force to the Americas, that kind of feeling. And then going on from there, exploring America from 15th century on.
Mm-hmm. And the solo instrument is the piano on that?
I wrote it on piano, and there are a few solo places for piano, but the orchestra carries it mainly. The piano doesn't have to do a lot. And I saw this, a lot of the music they write for movies. John Barry does that a lot. He'll call it a concerto, and piano will play it, but you don't try to see...
It isn't really a showpiece for
No, it's not supposed to be. It's more or less a tone poem.
I see.
And, trying to do all the difficult things on piano, that's been done already. That's already been done. But to use it as a means for saying tone poems and so forth. I don't know, I think make the occasion fit the form, not the form fit the occasion or something like that.
That's got to be just an absolute thrill to hear a large work that you've composed for all those instruments and actually hear it performed.
Yeah, well, we don't know if that's going to happen, but it's really like a duty. Writing a symphony, when you're into it, it's like having 10 kids tugging at your skirts all the time. Yeah. You can't sleep and you can't eat until this particular section's done. You let the slightest thing go, anything wrong, and you feel it. It's something tugging at you. And I mean, you go to sleep and you wake up hearing the right version, not the wrong version. It's incredibly... I know why they call pieces of music works. It really
Gives new
is
meaning
work.
to
It's
that.
no real fun about it. The initial hit wow, you get really up, and isn't that quite something? But afterwards, it's just hard. It's like picking
It's just a drag like anything else, isn't it,
yeah,
Robbie?
It's
Hard
like
work.
digging ditches. It really is.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure that's true. Why don't you go ahead and do something else? I don't know if you'd like. You mentioned your fondness for Oriental philosophy and culture. I don't know if you'd like to switch over to that vein of things, or
Saving up for the end.
well, that's okay too, and you can go back. Why don't you choose? It's your choice.
Yeah. Oh yes, tasters. Let's talk a little bit whilst I tune my 12-string into a nice, lovely idea.
All right. Okay. There it goes now, folks. There it goes.
See if I can talk.
Talk and tune at the same time. I'm here. That's a challenge for sure. I just mention again, if you're just joining us, Robbie Basho is our guest. Oh, I know an area I wanted to talk about. We can get into this in a little more detail, but I know in our record library we have, my guess is, I didn't count them, but I would guess 10 to 15 of your albums. You've done a lot of recording over the years, and recently you've been recording for a label out in California called Windham Hill. William Ackerman, the man who is the producer, the man behind it. A real purist sort of label, real purist approach. You have, 2 albums out on that label?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you still recording for Windham Hill, or is that? I mean, are you satisfied with everything?
No. The reason he's going towards a very clean. He's using a very pure nature feeling in California, with the European classical dynamics is what he's doing, and and the world's hungry for it. There's been so much garbage in pop and even folk, and especially in jazz, that people are really hungry for a mellow sound that elevates them in a natural sense, but they don't have to listen too hard to. That it takes them, puts them in a nice place, a frame of mind, and Windham Hill is quite the answer for a lot of people. George Winston on piano, and people like, he's light but very, very, very tasty. In some places, very sublime. And Will does a very nice job of nature. I call him a folk moodist. He's very good at it. And
but it sounds like with some of the stuff you're doing, that's a fairly narrow definition as far as what could be recorded.
Oh no, it isn't. You'd have to get that to find out, because what I'm doing, the first couple of songs are my warm-up, fun, folky songs, and the one I'm tuning for now is a kind of a classical one. But I used the Hindu system of ragas and scale and feeling into a lot of things. I used it into painting pictures of the West, and I used it in what I call my classical music. I call it near classical.
Near classical, I like it.
I wanted to do something nice called Cathédrale Fleur de Lis, cathedrals and fleur-de-lis. And what it does is paints a picture of a 12th century French cathedral, and there comes a rainstorm, and you're supposed to hear the organ inside the church during the rainstorm, and little doves from the window, flying from the windows afterwards.
And that's what's coming up right now?
That's what's going to come up right now, we hope.
Why don't you go ahead?
Cathédrale Fleur de Lis.
The sounds, the tones, the mood that you're able to create in, I'm not going to try the pronunciation, the French pronunciation, but
Kathedrale Flödeli.
Yeah, just
Das Kathedralamt in Blumen. Ja.
That's really nice. That's really lovely. Is that would you say typical of your music, the programmatic approach, typically called program music?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I'll have two sets, and the first set is my folk set, where I'll do my little country and Rocky Mountain Raga and Indian, American Indian, one song of each. And then the second set I do my, world music classical bit.
Yeah. The near classical.
Near classical, quite.
But the stuff that you write yourself, that's your approach to paint a picture, I guess.
Yes, I'm thematically. It's a curse sometimes and sometimes a blessing, but I get an idea to paint a picture, and that's what I do.
God, what a splendid sound. I really like that. It's real nice. Why don't you do something else? We're going to run out of time too soon. And then people will call and say, Jennifer, you talk too much.
No. We had
Thank you,
fun.
Robbie. That's kind of you.
Well, it's time for another fun song. We've got 20 minutes or so.
That's right.
Well, this one's called German Chocolate Cake. Der Deutsche Chocolatekuchen. This is for fun. This is kind of Basho Rococo.
Well, I tell you, my mouth was watering.
I forgot to take a finger pick off my finger, and I didn't play it right. I never play that with this finger pick on, and I forgot, and that's what happens.
Aha.
And
Fooled
that's
me.
on the Art of Acoustic album, done perfectly. You wanted to know something about the Hindu music and everything, and that's why I put my specially designed whoopee pick on. To be only used for Hindu music and such, which I just flubbed my way through a Rococo classical piece. Anyway, this is called Pavan, India. And when still a young lad, I went to India to see what I could see. Mainly I got very ill. Some of the old boys would play their venas, and they'd do minuets in the middle. Just to they thought we were British, and they loved to chide the British. And if you've seen Gandhi, you know why they hate the British. But we weren't, and I wore a cowboy hat, and they loved me. Cowboy hats are really in. Hi-ho Shiva and away. It's the truth. So this is called Pavan, India. And what they would do, as I said, play a minuet in the middle of their alap, their first movement of a raga. So I'll do a raga in the middle of kind of a Pavan type of thing.
Before you do,
yes,
enlighten those of us who know little to nothing about Hindu music. What is a raga?
Okay, about 8,000 years ago, this great yogi called Lord Shiva got bored. So he wanted to hear things. So he took the catgut and applied it to wood in such a way and started the scale of music, the 7 notes, and made the first vina. Vina is it's really like a cello, but it's like there's 2 gourds. If you imagine 2 huge gourds and a stick between them, like a log, a hollow log between them, very hollow, and the wood very thin, and then you would have your frets like a guitar would have frets. And generally, I don't know for vina, but it's usually the 6 strings plus 20 or 30 synthetic strings. You tune them, but you don't play them. They're just there. And that's the basic vina. And of course, the frets are movable. You can move the frets. But the wire is very thin, so when you pull it, you can get very, like a blues player will go, yeah, like that, Well, they can go 5 times further, see? So they have a lot of what they call shutris, microtones and things like that. It's like this way. Some people have straight hair, some people have very curly hair. And Hindu music is very, very, very curly hair. See if that...
It's very curly. That's great.
And a raga basically is a scale for longing, a scale for renunciation, a scale for romance, coffee, a scale for sadness. Todi is a mood of nature, deers, and a girl playing a veena, and the deer come out of the forest to hear. They're vignettes, you see, at a time of year, like autumn. Todi is a beautiful thing. Then you have Marwa, you have Malkuns, which is a bravado type of scale for bravery, and one for... You can bring rain by playing the right scale at the right time. They have a rain scale. And this song is based just... I think it's close to Pilu and Ham Sidvani, which is kind of a happy mood. But that's the basic thing is a scale, okay? And you don't go out of the notes on that scale. Sometimes scale is 5 notes, 6 notes, indefinite. You can't go out of it. And also there's the rhythm changes. Like there's first, second, third, and overdrive. That's how I mean, and they shift in between second and third, back to second, up to third, and then boom, overdrive. And to my mind, aesthetically, you start out playing flowers. The idea in Hindu music really is to make beauty, to get flowers, not to play machine gun music or too fast type of thing. And in the fourth movement, the beauty is when you get a rhythm going real fast to shoot a melody down the middle of it, and the melody just stands out so much the better. And it's been my experience, it's when you're at the full height of it, it's like Shiva or Krishna driving a chariot in the heavens, and that's the effect that they usually get, and that's, I think, what they're trying for. It's very much their culture and their,
Yeah, well, that I think does help a little bit.
Something like that. I mean, I'm still an ignorant man, but I feel these things. I can't speak French too good, but I feel the mysticism there in French music, and I feel the same in Hindu. So this is a happy song called Pavan India.
Very nice. You know, we are just about out of time, and I think we are going to end with the tape. I think that's how we're going to end. But before we get to that, I'm sure there's some listeners who'd like to hear more of you and aren't going to be able to get to some of your concerts. How do they get a hold of some of your albums? Your most recent ones, I think, are on Windham Hill. Is that right?
Yes. Well, the main way to get... I have brought some records with me tonight, but all you got to do is write me a letter. I'm in the Berkeley phone book. You call 415, the information number for Robbie Basho, and they'll give you the phone number and the address. So all you have to do is write me a letter, and then I can send you a list of records or get whatever you want. And I charge people, even with mail, it's less than the stores.
Is that right?
Yeah, mailing included, postage and everything, it's less than the stores.
Gosh, what a deal.
Yeah, I got lots of records.
Well, Robbie Basho, it really has been a very, very pleasant hour. It's gone real quickly, and a nice variety of music. Nice to meet you, and thanks again. What are we going to hear to close this
I did a
out?
Thanksgiving thing for KPFA, and I guess I spent some time in my life with American Indian music. I had to explore that too. I thought that was core melody, and of course only 1% of the Indians, are the population. But this country, I feel it. And so I did a Thanksgiving thing, and something from the book of Hopi called Land of Our Fathers, and it's just a feeling of the Indians being here and capturing, like, from east to west across the North American continent as an entity, as a feeling for this country, the way they feel it, I think. And I do a solo, then I have a little chorus that I rounded up, and a friend of mine did for me, and I think it's quite unusual. The Hopi name for God is Tiowa, and we're in Iowa. So let's see what it sounds like.
Robbie Basho, thank you very much,
you.
and let's hear the music.
Oh, my Lord, my love, oh, Creator, we offer presents and the corn, and our lives and all we see. Oh, Creator, we give thanksgiving to Thee. O Lord of presents and